It'll be a few moments before Brett Favre has his opportunity, as the Buccaneers have won the toss and they will receive. Ryan Longwell will kick off for Green Bay. And back deep is Warwick Dunn for Tampa Bay. And the game is underway in a loud crowd here as the ball bobbled and taken out of the end zone by Dunn. And Dunn brings it out just beyond the 15-yard line, where Sean King goes to work, making his fourth start. 2-1 record as a starter. Very poised quarterback. Up front, Paul Gruber, Kevin Dawkins, and Tony Mayberry is starting despite an injury suffered last week. Frank Middleton and Jerry Wunsch on the right side. Warwick Dunn along with Pro Bowler Mike Allstott in the backfield. Jacquez Green and Bert Emanuel the starting wide receivers. Dave Moore is the tight end. Bucks starting from the 17-yard line, and Warwick Dunn up the middle gets to the 21-yard line and a gain of 4 yards. The Packers defensive unit. Up front, Bonnie Holiday, Gilbert Brown, Santana Dotson, the ex-Buccaneer, and Vaughn Booker. Jude Waddy, Bernardo Harris in the middle, and George Kuntz, the linebackers. Tyrone Williams and rookie Mike McKenzie are the cornerbacks. Leroy Butler, Darren Sharper, the safeties. Second down and 6. And again, it's Dunn, and Dunn is hit immediately at the 20 for a loss of a yard, bringing up third down. Bonnie Holiday in there.
Third down, and you're going to have 7, and that generally means you're going to have to throw the football. And if you're the Tampa Bay Bucks and you have Sean King, it's only, what, your 4th time you're playing. What he doesn't lack is he doesn't lack great confidence. He believes in himself, he believes in this team, and the team believes in him.
And right now the Buccaneers, who were 0 for 12 on third down conversions against the Raiders, face 3rd and 7. King out of the shotgun. Multiple wide receivers, and he's going deep for Jacquez Green, and the pass led him a little bit too much. He had beaten the defender, Mike McKenzie.
But he took his shot. He took his shot, and he knew where he had to go down the field. And what he's saying immediately to this Green Bay Packers secondary is, I don't care what you think of me. This is what I think of you. I'm going to take my shot on you. And if you just give me an inch like they did there, you're going to go downfield. That automatically stretches you vertically.
Mark Royals with a kick, and not an exceptionally long one, and a fair catch called for by Charles Jordan, number 82, who figures to be a key return man today. That was only a 35-yard punt by Royals. Now Brett Favre going to work with a very impressive 13-2 career record against the Buccaneers. A lot of confidence against this team. Wall, McKenzie, Winters, Rivera, and Dotson, the offensive line. Dorsey Levens and William Henderson are the backs. Antonio Freeman and Bill Schrader, the receivers. And Jeff Thomason makes his first start of the year. Very loud crowd for an outdoor stadium. First down at the 45, and the pass low to Schrader on first down. Tampa Bay's defense, and they are number 1 against the pass in the NFC. Steve White did not play last week, back in there with a turf toe. Warren Sapp, the Pro Bowler, one to watch, of course. Brad Culpepper and Chidi Ahanotu. 2 Pro Bowl performers at linebacker, and Derek Brooks and Hardy Neckerson, along with Quarles. Rondy Barber, Donnie Abraham, the cornerbacks. John Lynch heading for the Pro Bowl as well. Damian Robinson, the free safety.
Keep your eyes right there. Warren Sapp.
Handoff Dorsey Levens. Fumbles. And the loose ball at the 43-yard line. And it is recovered by the Buccaneers.
This right here is exactly what Chris Collinsworth was talking about in our pregame show. Exactly what Green Bay couldn't afford to do. And that is allow Tampa Bay's defense to make plays or set up points for you. If you're going to get beat on your own terms. Don't hand the ball away.
Donnie Abraham forced the fumble, and it was recovered by Derek Brooks. So the Buccaneers get a big break here, and here's the fumble again by Levens.
Just well done by Abraham. You know what I like about that? He took the brunt of it, but he stuck his head right on the ball, and he wasn't afraid to come up and get squared up.
Very strong defensive unit, and the Buccaneers with a first down on the Packer 47, and the pass intended for the tight end Dave Moore brings up second down. Sean King suffering a loss last week, Matt, his first defeat since his next to last game as a college junior at Tulane.
Well, the one thing different about the NFL and college, you're going to see a couple more defeats than you're used to. And you're also going to see a league that studies you and knows you and find out what you can and can't do and will force you to do what you don't do well. And right now, what that is for Sean King is he's got to see all of coverage.
2nd and 10. Two tight ends in there for the Buccaneers for protection, and this pass is complete. Carl Williams makes the reception, and that will be enough for a Buccaneer first down at the 36 of the Pack, a gain of 11.
Well done. It's just that confidence you're talking about. And you better believe that the Tampa Bay sideline, their coaches know that he's a confident guy, and they're going to let that roll. And how that plays is, yeah, you may throw a couple incompletions, but you're going to come right back to it and let him throw the ball.
Tony Dungy, whose career record 1-7 against Green Bay, but the Buccaneers trying to take advantage of the turnover. First down on the 36. And the pitch to Warwick Dunn with all-star blocking and run out of bounds by Tyrone Williams after a gain of about 1.5 yards.
Now, Warwick Dunn, he can turn the corner. And so when you play this Tampa Bay running game with Warwick Dunn in the game, you have to have good discipline. And you have to continually force everybody and up the field so that he can bounce the ball outside. And the longer he's running sideways, he's not gaining anything up the field.
Warwick Dunn gaining 516 yards, went over 1,000 yards last year. But his strength has been as a receiver this season. 2nd down and 8. And the handoff to Allstott, who dives forward and gets to within 5 yards or so of the first down. Bonnie Holiday making the tackle.
You know, two things I believe happened to this Green Bay Packer defense. The first thing, obviously, is you have a head coaching change, and that's the one thing. And along with that head coaching change is you have the change in defensive coordinators, and that was Fritz Shurmur. Fritz Shurmur knew this team. They knew him. They knew what he could do. He knew what they could do. Now you're changing over in staffs, and it's a whole new learning process, and I think it's taken a while to straighten things out.
There's Allstott, who is lined up as a wide receiver. Keith McKenzie has come in for the Packers on the defensive line, and the ball is batted down, and that was Billy Lyon, number 98, and that will bring up 4th down. And Martin Gramatica will come in to try to give the Buccaneers a lead.
Dick, I was watching Gramatica prior to the game, and he kicked a 60-yarder in the pregame. And obviously he has the leg for it. He's not a big guy, it's a tiny little run. But he can kick.
3rd round pick from Kansas State, a native of Argentina, but has not attempted a field goal in the last 2 games. And this kick of 49 yards is good. Well, the delay of a couple of games didn't affect Gramatica, who is very animated as a kicker. So the fumble by Levens comes back to haunt the Packers.
Exactly what, like you mentioned earlier. That's what Chris Collinsworth was talking about. You turn the ball over, then your defense sets up points. One thing about Gramatica, he's an excitable guy. He'll be jumping all over the place, but watch Dave Moore. Just Dave Moore looking at him like, yeah, okay, we scored. See, that's the difference between a kicker and a regular player. See, Moore's like, yeah, okay, we got 3 points. It's early in the game. Let's move on.
Gramatica did not move on. Well, Friday, you're invited to bring in, getting off to a good start. Coming into this game, Matt, they had held a lead in the first quarter only once in the last 6 games. So this is new territory for them. So after the fumble, Gramatica's 49-yard field goal giving Tampa Bay a 3-0 lead. And now Gramatica will be kicking off. Damon Parker and Charles Jordan. That's Jordan back deep. And this is a short kick. And it's taken by Jordan. Jordan gets hit from behind and stumbles forward to the 33-yard line. And Shelton Quarles, who we showed you before the kickoff, comes up to make the tackle. And a return of 22 yards.
Talking about the Green Bay Packers, and you can see Favre, and they said it right at the start. If you're a Green Bay Packer fan and you want to dump the whole game on Favre's shoulders, he's the best player on your team. You let him have a go at it. If he's going to do anything, they're going to have to block the best player on Tampa Bay's defense, and that's Warren Sapp.
Packers starting from their 33-yard line, and here is Levens, and Levens is stopped cold. And Derek Brooks right in the middle there.
Brooks can come up and make that fill because Warren Sapp, you're going to watch right here, is going to stuff Riley McKenzie right at the line of scrimmage. And he reestablishes, see this, he reestablishes, first he holds the outside, there's nowhere to go, and he reestablishes the line of scrimmage on the other side of the ball. And when you do that, you secure your gap and hold the outside, he only has one place to go.
Corey Bradford has come in as the third wide receiver lined up to the left. 2nd and 10. And the slant pass to Bradford, knocked down and nearly picked off, and it looked like the Buccaneers had an idea that Favre was going that way.
Well, they came with a blitz, and when that happens, you've got to know exactly where that ball is going to come out. You know, that's one of the things I think Monty Kiffin and his defensive staff do the best job of, or one of the best jobs I see in football. Well, they'll take their shots. They will explain thoroughly where the weak spot of that defense is. And this team rallies to that weak spot very well.
Out of the shotgun with 3 wideouts on 3rd and 10. And here comes Brooks up the middle. And the Packers pick him up. And the pass is caught by Freeman. And a first down in the 46. A good pickup of the blitz and a gain of 14.
And the guy who did that was Dorsey Levens, who I believe is a very, very complete player. You're going to watch him come back inside. They're going to come with the blitz. Watch Dorsey Levens right here. He's looking to the left, and then he helps back inside. And he hits a Hanatu right at the end. And because he's given him that time, Antonio Freeman can work the body position on Rondé Barber. See how he bent it inside, get him to the hip, and then get the push. You have separation, and because of the time, it's a first down.
Freeman, the leading receiver for the Packers this year. First down on the 47, and the give is to Levens, diving forward, close to midfield, where Steve White makes the tackle for the Bucs.
Dick, guys, speaking this morning here, got over early, and Frank Winters, the center, was out. And we were just batting the bull, you know, going back and forth, and just out of it, you know, just kind of flopped out. Boy, I hope that Brett doesn't start talking to Warren Sapp today. He said, boy, Rivera and I were talking to him. We said, don't start talking to Sapp. He thinks he's better the more he talks.
The Packers and the Buccaneers with Tampa Bay leading 3-0 on a Martin Gramatica field goal following a turnover. 2nd and 8 for Green Bay. And the pass to a wide-open Corey Bradford is dropped. So the fumble by Dorsey Levens, and the Tampa Bay getting the ball and getting 3 out of it here in the first quarter.
Well, Brett Favre's got to calm himself down. He's thrown 4 balls, 1 for completion, 1 too high, 1 too low, and 1 behind. You remember Favre in the early years, in the formative years under Holmgren, he would come out always too jacked, and the ball then would always take off on him. He's been all over the place here in the first 4 balls he's thrown.
4 wide receivers on 3rd down and 8. And there is the Favre's pass complete to Jeff Thomason. And a first down inside the 40. Thomason making his 6th start in his 7-year career and a 13-yard gain, replacing Tyrone Davis, who has gone out of favor for the Packers offense.
Tyrone Davis there, as you're looking at him, is now the backup. Has more ability than any of the tight ends, but he just lost his confidence. Thompson's not a real good blocker, but he's a pretty good pass receiver. You just want a little consistency out of that position.
And the draw play with 4 wideouts, and it's read perfectly by Brooks. And it's trapped in the backfield for a loss of 3 is Dorsey Levens.
And if you're just going to look at the breakdowns of this team offensively with Brett Favre, when he's in shotgun, they only do two things. One is a draw, and the other is throw the ball. And so you know pretty much what they're going to do.
Second down and 13. Charles Jordan is the fourth wide receiver for Brett Favre in the pack. He's in the slot to the left. And Favre's pass, and a little high, and unable to make the one-handed grab was Bill Schrader. And that will bring up third and long.
Dick, a departure from the Mike Holmgren era is what you're watching right here with Brett Favre, and that's going a shotgun. Remember, they never went to it. And now, in Favre, in the beginning, he didn't really like it. Now he likes it. Now it's to the point where he wants to, if they're going to throw and it's an obvious passing down, he wants to be in that position because he believes that he can see the blitzing and the coverage that much quicker.
Ninth play of the drive, third and 13. No blitz here, and Favre, with no receivers to throw to, taking off, and Quarles chasing him out of bounds at the 37-yard line. Steve White put the initial pressure on, and fourth down coming up.
Nick, you want to see why he had to take off and run? Watch Donnie Abraham with his safety help inside, no place to throw. Then he's going to look out to the left with Bill Schrader. Again, Rondé Barber underneath, safety over the top, nowhere to go there. So if your two biggest threats are taken, the middle of the field's defended, you've got to take off and run and set up this punt.
Louis Aguiar, who was signed early in the season, will kick from midfield, as the Tampa Bay defense has set the early tone in this game, and Aguiar's kick will sail into the end zone for a touchback. 6 minutes 42 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Bucs lead the Packers 3-0. There's Gilbert Brown, the big mammoth tackle in the middle. First down on the 20. The Bucs had Warwick Dunn in motion to the left. Here is Mike Allstott, nothing doing, maybe a yard, and Bernardo Harris, the middle linebacker, was right on top.
Dick, you and I have talked about Mike Allstott a bunch of times. You know, he's healthy this year. Last year came into the season, really didn't have a good off season of training. He believes that he's got to be training hard, and he's a real thick guy. He got thick arms, legs, thick-waisted guy, but he's not a fullback. He is a featured running back.
Even though he's a fullback on the Pro Bowl team, they got to get somebody. Again, Dunn in motion, 2nd and 9. Sean King trying to buy some time, and his pass caught. Dave Moore, the tight end, and that's the dimension that Sean King can give you. He can get out of the pocket and scamper in a gain of 20 yards beyond the 40.
Now, there's one thing to have that ability, and it's another for the coaches to let him use it. Now, that time, this is just instinct. Vaughn Booker gets in from the left side and crashes the pocket. And because he collapsed it, Moore is able to buy some time and find the hole in the zone. And as he sits down in that thing, because he was able to move outside and buy time, he found him.
From the 41-yard line, here is Dunn spinning away from one defender and knocked back, but not before. Dunn picks up close to 5 yards. Again, it's Bernardo Harris, as the Packers are using Cledius Hunt and Billy Lyon as their defensive tackles on this series. There's Hunt and Lyon. We've seen Keith McKenzie and Roy Barker, who is acclaimed on waivers from the Cleveland Browns, number 94, the good pass rusher, expected to see action as well today. There's Barker. He's played with the 49ers and the Vikings. 2nd down and 6. Allstott. And the power runner gets the first down into Packer territory, where Sharper and Dotson make the tackle. Tough to bring down when he gets ahead of steam.
Tough to bring down when you have your offensive line coming off the ball and doing a nice job. Very well done by the fullback as well. McLeod does a good job, and then this is when he's most effective. You know, you don't get him running outside. You square his shoulders and you get him running straight forward.
Buccaneers with a first down on the Green Bay 48. This is a play-action pass off the hands of Allstott, who was covered by Jude Waddy, the linebacker.
I think that Jude Waddy is a guy that they fell into. I mean, they liked him a few years ago. He's not a real big guy. He runs very well, has good coverage abilities. But I think what they fell into there is that I don't believe that they believed that he was as good a run defender as he is, because he'll take things on, and there's not a lot of them, but he'll throw all of what he got into all of what you got, and does a pretty good job of taking on blocks and coming off.
Sure does, and replacing a real good one in Brian Williams, who went out with the knee surgery the first week of November. 2nd down and 10. Another fake run, and Sean King up the middle, and the pass intended for Jaquez Green. Although there were 2 receivers in the neighborhood, Patrick Haight was the other, goes incomplete.
It'll make more sense to it.
Somebody ran a wrong pattern on that play.
Yeah, Haight, one of the 2 shouldn't have been there.
3rd down and 10. Protection for King, and King is going to take off. And King dives inside the 40, will be short of the first down by about 2 yards. But 4th down coming up. And it looks like Mark Royals is going to come in to punt with 3:32 to go. Mark Royals, who is 2nd in the conference in net average, and Charles Jordan back deep to receive. And it's a fake, and the pass is caught. Damian Robinson. So a fake punt, and Mark Royals fires to a wide open Damian Robinson, and a trick play gives Tampa Bay a first down on the 23 of Green Bay.
And one thing, when you're on the punt return team, the number one thing you have to do is you have to know who your coverage is. I mean, you've got to. And somebody is responsible for the up back. Immediately responsible for it. Royals is just trying to look, he's trying to look as sneaky as possible. Put his head down. I was going to fake it. Put his head down. Look through the top of his face mask.
Yeah, Mark Royals now 3 for 4 as a passer in his career. Maybe a backup quarterback role in his future. First down, and Allstott carries and gets maybe 2 on the play.
As soon as the league starts going to punt formation to throw, Royals is in. Until then, forget it.
Tell you, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have already wrapped up a playoff berth, but they're looking to win the NFC Central, and with the Vikings winning today, this is an important game, of course, for the Bucs. Taking advantage of a Packer fumble, getting 3, and then on a fake punt on 4th down, have 2nd and 7 on the Packer 20. And the pitch goes to Warren Dunn, trying to get by Vonnie Holliday, and finally Darren Sharper comes up to make the play.
That's a great play by Vonnie Holliday. Great play because he knows he has the outside, and he did a good job of taking the angle. Took an angle and got wide outside, so he wasn't going to be outflanked. It's all right if you get beat to the inside, you have your help out there. But he did a good job of forcing that to go back in.
And Roy Barker has come in to make his first appearance in a Packer uniform. 3rd down and 5. Winding down to a minute remaining in the first.
You better keep your coverage on 28. They'll run everybody off and dump him underneath.
4 receivers and the pressure on, and the pass thrown underneath to the 10. Riddell Anthony, and he's got a first down on the Packer 10-yard line. Jim Nelson, the linebacker, making the stop.
And he had to get rid of that ball quick, because Keith McKenzie did an excellent job on Paul Gruber and got right in on King. But because King made the quick decision and saw Anthony open, he gets it to him quick, and it's a first down.
Anthony suffered a sprained ankle against the Raiders, and looking up to see that play again. So it's 1st and goal at the 10. King with time underneath Bert Emanuel, and finally knocked out of bounds. Antoine Edwards was there on the play, and Bernardo Harris was the first one to get a shot at him. And the final seconds, talk about textbook Tony Dungy football. Ball control, taking advantage of turnovers, and having the lead. And that is the end of the first quarter with the score. The Bucs 3, the Packers nothing. Fox NFL Sunday will continue right after these messages. Second and goal on the 10-yard line for the Buccaneers. Play action. Sean King going for Moore, the tight end. And that will bring up third down. George Kuntz covering on the play. Here are the signals from the Packers.
You know, a lot of times you hear about quarterbacks making audibles at the line of scrimmage. Well, your middle linebacker and your safeties, they've got to make all the adjustments to what's going on to the offense. And one of the things that's essential in good defense is good communication.
That was Bernardo Harris, as you see the impressive ball control that the Bucs had in the first quarter. Third down and goal from the 10, and King drills it in the pass, and it's jarred away. It was intended for Anthony, and Mike McKenzie, one of 3 rookies who have been playing considerable time in the secondary for the Packers, with a big hit on Anthony.
Yeah, that's not so much good defense as it was bad catching. Riddell Anthony is right where he has to be. The ball's also right where it has to be. McKenzie was beaten. Riddell Anthony should have caught the ball. That's inexcusable. That's one that could come back and get you.
So Martin Gramatica, who connected on a 49-yard field goal in the first quarter, will attempt this from 28 yards. And Gramatica's kick is perfect, and the Bucs lead 6-0. But you're right, Matt, because you can't squander too many opportunities here.
No, it was well conceived. It was well done. It was just dropped. That drop, that's a missed opportunity. They had a chance to go up by 10, and instead they're one play away from being behind.
Kickoff return by Charles Jordan. Jordan picked up on waivers early in December from the Seattle Seahawks, is knocked down by Jeff Gooch. So a timeout early in the second, 6-0 the score. Back here in Tampa, Dick Stockton, Matt Millen, and Pam Oliver as the Buccaneers lead the Packers 6-0. Green Bay trying to get back in the game, starting this drive from their 27. Play fake and on the design rollout, and the pass caught by Thomason, who hurdles Donnie Abraham and gets to the 34-yard line and a gain of 8 yards. So let's get closer and clarify the playoff picture in the NFC. Both the Rams and the Buccaneers have clinched playoff berths. Redskins lead in the NFC East. The Vikings, by beating the Giants today, have also clinched a wild card berth and could still win the division. It's going to go down to the last week. 2nd and 2. And a handoff to Levens, knocked back. And the Packers unable to run. A loss on the play of 2 yards, and that was Brad Culpepper.
And Chidi Ahanotu was right there as well. Boy, Chidi Ahanotu just stuffed Earl Dotson right at the line of scrimmage. That's good, solid defense, and that's what a lot of people don't get to see. Right? You know what? He did it so well and so fast you could hardly even pick it up.
You did.
He really got off the ball that time.
Tyrone Davis, who lost his starting job, number 81, has come in as a receiver on 3rd down and 4. And Brett Favre's pass bounces off the back of Rondy Barber. It was intended for Antonio Freeman. So once again, the Packers do not manage much on offense, and Aguiar will come in to kick.
Warren Sapp was trying to talk to Favre, and Favre just turned his back and walked away. And I believe if Favre is on and he feels like he's got a hot hand, he's going to be yakking back. But right now, Sapp knows he can get in his head, and he continues to do it.
This is just round 1 between these two as Aguiar gets set to kick. The Packers control their own destiny, but you never know it by the way they've come out in this game. Carl Williams, returning from the 28-yard line, finds an opening and is tripped up, and a big play by Jude Waddy to save an even bigger gain. That was a 14-yard return, and we'll be right back. 6-0 in favor of Tampa Bay. And let's bring you up to date on next week's schedule. The Lions and the Vikings at the Metrodome. Minnesota clinching the playoff berth. Detroit has slipped badly, losing 3 games. The Giants and the Dallas Cowboys, and a lot of teams who thought they would be out of it with 8 losses. Not necessarily so, because a lot of teams have lost in situations where they could have helped themselves. Buccaneers, with a big edge in rushing yards, have a first down on their 41-yard line. And here is Warren Dunn. And Dunn stopped for no gain. Cledius Hunt making the tackle, a rookie from Kentucky State.
And Santana Dotson also down there. Actually, Santana Dotson has been really solid. I saw him in the hotel this morning. We're getting ready to go over the game, and heck, he had a tougher time with his 3-year-old and 2-year-old daughters. 3-year-old son and 2-year-old daughter. They were grilling him. Dad, why are you leaving? Where are you going? I have to play again. Why do you got to do that? Can't just stay and play with us?
Tougher time than with Tampa Bay.
No question.
Offense. 2nd down and 10. And here's the handoff to Warwick Dunn, trying to bounce outside. Nothing there and nothing up the middle. And no gain on the play. Jude Waddy right in the middle, and that will bring up 3rd down.
This is what we said at the start. Take away the run game. Make the young rookie quarterback, Sean King, have to beat you with his arm. Certainly he's capable. He has all the physical skills. But you like your chances in the fact that he hasn't seen all the things that you're going to throw at him.
Bucks 1 for 5 on 3rd down conversions, but remember they made a big 4th down conversion on the fake punt and pass. Sending people up the middle line, Sean King, and he throws it away, and that was a good move by him.
It was a good move by him, and a good move also by the Green Bay Packer defensive coordinator, Emmett Thomas. Yes, they're going to spread you out so you can see everything, but then they bring the people inside, so you have to see them as well. And in order for you to get to the downfield read, you have to first get past that rush.
So it's 4th down.
There's Emmett right down there. Defensive coordinator.
Mark Royals kicking to Jordan, who muffs the punt and gets knocked back. And it was Ravi Abdullah, a running back who rarely gets the play because of the presence of Warwick Dunn. And inside the 15-yard line will be where the Pack takes over.
Well, that's a case of taking your eyes off the ball. He saw it almost in. Instead, he got waxed.
Packers starting from the 15-yard line have not managed much of an attack thus far. That's Vaughn Booker, who was not in the last series, the defensive end, sick on the sidelines. And we'll watch to see whether he gets back in. First down, Brett Favre drills it up the middle, and it was intended for Bill Schrader and Rondy Barber downfield on the coverage.
You know, if you're Warren Sapp, the time that you do get single blocks, that's when you have to make your move. Raleigh McKenzie's working on him there, and he has nobody to the inside. That's when you really have to make your presence felt, because the most of the time he's going to get his doubles. They're going to always slide to him, or they're going to make sure somebody chips on him. That time they didn't. Raleigh McKenzie won.
2nd and 10 on the 15, and so far we have not mentioned Warren Sapp's name in making a play. Favre completing the pass to Schrader, and there's John Lynch coming in to make certain of it, and the pass good for 7 yards, and Hardy Nickerson was the first man to get to Schrader.
You know, Dick, earlier we were talking about what has to happen for the Green Bay Packers, and we were talking about Brett Favre. The reason I say that is simple. His thumb is sufficiently healed. And you heard him talk to Pam in the pregame. Right before the game, he was talking that, you know, it's the 15th, 16th week of the season, and, you know, this is how I'm going to feel. And so you're a great player. And in a game like this, your team has to have your best players play their best. And right now, he's not at his best.
Suffered whiplash last week in the Minnesota loss. Monday night, short week. 3rd down and 3, and this pass tipped. And Damian Robinson on the interception. And faked the lateral. And Damian Robinson on the ball tipped by John Lynch. And you just said it, Matt. He is not sharp at all, and Favre throwing an interception, his 21st of the year.
He's trusting his arm. His brain shouldn't have told him to throw it there. Yes, his arm can get there, but it didn't happen in coverage.
Not only was that Damian Robinson's first NFL interception, but his second catch of the day. Remember, he was on the receiving end of the fake punt and pass by Mark Royals, which set up the second field goal for Tampa Bay. The Bucs have it on the 38 of Green Bay, and this pass is caught by Bert Emanuel. Good for 9 yards to the 30 of the Pack.
Let's go back and look. This man is going to be free, and then back underneath, you're going to have John Lynch. They are free underneath. Brett Favre is reading man coverage, which is why he's staring down so hard, because he sees outside. See, he sees this, and he sees this. He doesn't see Lynch inside, who's free to read his eyes. And so because he read it as man, he didn't see Lynch. Lynch read him, knocked the ball away. Robinson gets the pick.
Second down and 2, and on the pitch, Warwick Dunn wins his way to first down territory to the Packer 25, where Leroy Butler makes the stop. And by the way, Vaughn Booker, who was ill in the last series, is back in at defensive end for Green Bay. That was a 7-yard pickup for Dunn.
You know, it's one thing when you're a young player and you start out at a certain level, and you're going to have limitations, but the key is to get better and better. And the one player on the Bucs who's done that is Jerry Wunsch, their right offensive tackle. That last play, he did an excellent job of getting out, blocking the corner to allow for the first.
And there goes Dunn again, split to the left. And it's a running play to Allstott, and Allstott picking up about 4. Bernardo Harris on the tackle with under 9 minutes to go in the first half. 6-0. Tampa Bay controlling, but only up by 6.
You know, watch Jerry Wunsch on Vaughn Booker. Vaughn Booker is going to go out. He's not feeling well anyway, but after he watches this thing on tape, he's going to feel even worse. Wunsch gets him, and then see, he has a chance to bury him. And then he just keeps on taking him, and then he finishes it and puts him on his back.
He didn't want to hear what you had to say about him. Second down and 7, so he ran off the field. Here's the give up the middle. Warwick Dunn to the 19-yard line. Will be short of the first down by about 4. Bernardo Harris in on the tackle.
A lot of stuff going on down there, and it looks like you got a helmet stuck. That's affectionately known as the French helmet.
Dunn, 9 carries, 21 yards. Remember, he went over 1,000 last year, but used more as a pass receiver in the offense this season for the Buccaneers, who had won 6 in a row before their 45-0 loss to Oakland last week.
They were so entangled, they had to first take out the heads involved, and then it was Middleton and Santana Dotson. Once they got the heads out of the way, then the officials could separate the helmets.
Still trying to figure out how the French comes into it.
I'll explain it to you later, son.
Third down and 4 at the 19. Sean King on a flip inside on a shovel pass to Warwick Dunn, close to the first down. He had to get to just inside the 15-yard line.
Well done by Roy Barker. He read it on the run, recognized it, and then collapsed down inside and actually made an excellent job of diving to make the play.
So Martin Gramatica, who is 2 for 2, coming in to attempt his 3rd field goal of the game. And while the Buccaneers have dominated ball control, the Packers haven't played well offensively. If this kick is good, it is still only 9-0. This is a 33-yard try, and this kick is going to be good, and it just makes it as Gramatica hooked it, but it got in the left upright. So the Buccaneers stretch their lead to 9-0. We'll be right back. Above, these pictures are from the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. The Goodyear fleet continues a 75-year tradition. Well, the Buccaneers leading 9-0. And, of course, still within the range of Brett Favre, but I'd have to say off of this point with 7:06 to go in the first half, the Buccaneers have rebounded from that shellacking, showing no ill effects right now. There is the field goal, the 25th of the season by the rookie Gramatica, which ties Michael Husted's Tampa Bay record. Another short kickoff, very short this time, and Charles Jordan on the return, and he is down at the 29-yard line by Brian Kelly. Gramatica shaking his head after that kickoff. Tampa with the Bucs leading 9-0, and want to remind you the Cotton Bowl kicks off the New Year's when 100-year-old rivals clash. Kelly on the blitz, and the pass caught by Dorsey Levens out of the backfield for no gain on the play and maybe a loss of the yard.
It's a good job by the Buck defense of coming after Favre. Going to watch Kelly coming in right on the off the side. And Mike Wall saw him, didn't believe he was coming, looked inside, and then Kelly came and he couldn't get to him in time.
No gain on the play. 2nd down and 10. Packers, no points, 4 turnovers in the last 4 quarters. Levens with an opening up the middle, and Dorsey Levens brings it out to the 38-yard line, about 2 yards short of the first down. Rondy Barber.
You know, Dorsey Levens he's playing with sore ribs. Yes, he has the cracked rib, and what they have is they have him a flak jacket, and you can see how it's attached in the back underneath, and they're nice and streamlined. See, and the evolution of equipment's amazing to me. It used to be that they had the old ones. You have to strap them down over underneath your pads, and they held onto your shoulders. Now they're so nice and tight, you have better movement and the same protection.
Out of the shotgun, a fake screen pass, and a dive, and it may be enough for the first down, and it is for Brett Favre. Brett Favre with a pump fake and a dive for the first down to the 40-yard line, and he comes up wincing.
Remember last week we talked about he got hit in the back, and he actually lost some strength down his right arm. What he sees here is lots of coverage and no place to throw the ball. And they were going to go with the screen back underneath to Dorsey Levens, but Hardy Nickerson did an excellent job of jumping that out in the flat. And there was no place to go. And that's the other side of this equation here with Favre. One thing to have to throw, but you have to get guys open.
From the 40-yard line, the first down pass, and it's caught by Bradford. Corey Bradford got behind the defense, and a first down into Buccaneer territory. That was a gain of 27, and Damian Robinson beaten by Bradford on the play.
Very well done by Favre on the throw. They're going to come up and get a jam, and now you have to throw on top of Abraham, but in front of the safety. That's one of the weaknesses right there. And this is right after the first down that he dove for. He got up wincing and holding that right arm. He throws like that, he should hurt himself more often.
The man beaten was Abraham, and Robinson made the tackle as Dorsey Levens with some hard yardage, and John Lynch coming up to make the tackle and a gain of 4.
You know, Dick, sometimes you can play good defense and still get beat. And sometimes you can do everything right, because when you're running zones, when you're playing zone defense, there are always holes. And if you have a great throw like you had out of Favre, you can do everything fine. The corner did a nice job, Abraham. Robinson did the right thing getting over the top, but it was a well-thrown ball, and it's right in that gray area. And that's what you do when you go against zones.
2nd down and 7. Good protection, and the middle screen to Dorsey Levens gets inside the 25, still needing a yard and a half for the first down, and it was Brooks and Barber defensing with 3:20 and the clock running in this first half.
You know, one of the things that amazes me, how this Tampa Bay defense is played, it's been talked about, but it's Hardy Nickerson. They'll play what's called cover 2, where the safeties are deep down the middle, and Hardy Nickerson will run really deep down the middle, like almost a third deep guy. But what that does, and it's not talked about enough, is the other 2 linebackers have a lot of space that they have to cover. That's a lot of pressure on them to make plays underneath.
3rd down and 1. And it's a running play to Levens, and he's trapped and down. A loss of about 3 on the play, and Chidi Ahonatu gets in there to the delight of Tony Dungy, and 4th down coming up.
See, the tackle was made on the outside, but the play was made right back down in here. Culpepper right there. That's it. It was Derek Brooks who stuffed that play. And because Brooks stuffed it, Levens had to bounce it outside. And when he's trying to run outside on this Buck defense, you can forget it.
Talented group of linebackers, and that forces Ryan Longwell to try a 46-yard field goal. And Longwell's kick is good. And so in a battle of field goals, the Buccaneers now lead 9-3 in a defensive battle, as the Bucs have taken advantage of 2 Green Bay turnovers for their lead. 5 seconds away from the 2-minute warning, and what else with the cheeseheads? A cheese grater in the stands today.
You have to have something to grate the cheese. That guy's got it down pat. That took a lot of first of all, it takes a strong neck, it takes a big head, but it takes a little how should I say, kitchen acumen to understand what the heck is going on.
Longwell kicking off for the Packers. Warwick Dunn. Warwick Dunn returning, picking his way forward, and a terrific return by Warwick Dunn to the 47-yard line. Dunn brings it back 33 yards for the Buccaneers.
Is so delightful.
A full complement of 3 timeouts remaining. The Bucs have a 1st down on the 47, their own 47, after the solid return by Dunn. Sean King's pass, and it is intercepted by Tyrone Williams. And Williams running it back close to midfield, and the Packers will have an opportunity here, getting their 1st turnover of the game.
But he just threw it right to Williams. They showed like they were going to be in cover 2 with both safeties sitting back there. And that's how he read it. Tyrone Williams worked off the corner, and then he broke back inside. Very well done. In that cover 2, the corner's job, you get a push, you force him up the field, and then you get a little bit of depth. And he's there with Joe Vitt, his secondary coach, before he read that perfectly.
Packers coming in 3rd in takeaways, and Tyrone Williams, who hails from nearby Sarasota, picking up his 4th interception of the year. Levens is at the top of your screen, and the pass goes underneath to Jeff Thomason, and Thomason, with good second effort, picks up the 1st down to the Buccaneer 44. That's a 12-yard pickup.
So they took Dorsey Levens, and he's just like a pro. They motioned him out there, and when nobody adjusted, Favre immediately knew now that it was going to be a zone. And so because of that zone and Levens outside, they're going to have to stretch that zone. So he just looks for the thing to open up and hits Thomason.
1st down on the 43 of Tampa Bay. 9-3 the score, and the bullet pass is incomplete. It was headed Bradford's way, and it brings up 2nd down, and the clock stops with 1:06 remaining. Right now the score is Gramatica 3 and Longwell 1 in this low-scoring game. Brett Favre with 1 interception, 8 of 16, as the Buccaneers have capitalized twice on Green Bay turnovers for field goals. Second down and 10. Pressure on Favre, and this one bounces in front of Bradford. That time Tampa Bay put the heat on Favre, bringing up 3rd down.
Favre's pass intended for Bradford, incomplete. 3rd down, 10 at the 44.
Overhead view of Raymond James Stadium here in Tampa, packed and loud. 3rd and 10. Favre's pass caught by Schrader and pushed out of bounds by Lynch, close to the 1st down, and the clock will stop. 53 seconds showing.
They gave him the 1st down. That's a good effort by Schrader at the end to dive forward. Remember, it's where the ball is when your knee hits, and Schrader has the presence, sees the marker. Watch how he puts the ball forward. So when his knee came down, it's where that ball is at that time. And he stretches forward. That's a good job by Schrader.
You know, I just saw Dick Hancock, and I realized that there have been no penalties in this game.
Something's wrong. That's a good job. It's a good job by the officials to let the players play.
First and 10 on the 33, and Dorsey Levens making the catch, and that stops the clock with 46 seconds to go. That was a gain of 3 with Derek Brooks covering.
You know, just talking to Dorsey Levens before the game, I really like Dorsey Levens. I like his approach. He's a hard worker. He's a complete player. He blocks, catches the ball, he runs hard. Doesn't have great speed, but what he does do is he knows how to play. Just talking to him before the game, he said, too bad, you know, you got the cracked ribs and you miss a couple games. He said about the Pro Bowl. He said, I could care less about the Pro Bowl. He said, I want to win. That's what you love to hear from a player, and he means it.
Second down and 7. The pass is incomplete, bringing up third down. Bradford covered by Rondy Barber with 41 seconds to go, and the Packers are close to getting in field goal range, and they are for a long kick by Longwell, if that's the case. Third down coming up.
Monty Kiffin, offensive coordinator for the Bucs, and he's calling himself an excellent game. But right now, I can't tell if it's just great pass coverage or if it's just bad decisions by Brett Favre, because he doesn't look too good right now. He looks average, and he's not an average player.
Third down and 7, and the slant tap is flag goes down, and the pass intended for Schrader, and there were 3 red jerseys around Schrader, and the ball was tipped by Brian Kelly, and a flag is down, and this could be a big call, and if it's against the Buccaneers, it would give
pass interference. Defense number 25. First down.
And the Pack get a first down out of it.
That's Brian Kelly. He's driving him, just get to the inside. Yeah, I guess they're going to call. I don't really like the call. I mean, you have 5 yards to bump him. He did have his hand on him, but they've been letting him play all through this first, 29 minutes and 30 seconds.
First down from the 20-yard line. Favre, tip, incomplete. Good coverage by Brooks, the linebacker, on Tyrone Davis. And that brings up second down with exactly 30 seconds to go in the first half. And remember, the Packers still have all 3 of their timeouts left.
Nick, lost in this thing about, talking about Brett Favre is the fact that we haven't talked about Warren Sapp at all. The offensive line for the Green Bay Packers have been protecting pretty well. They've been giving him time. Favre has been high, been wide, he's been behind. And then every now and then he'll stick one in there, like that great throw he had earlier to Schrader, I believe, on the side.
Basil Mitchell, the running back, is in motion. And the pass goes to the other side to Levens. And Dorsey Levens gets inside the 10 and scores for the Packers. And Rondy Barber missed a chance to tackle Levens, who goes in, and the Packers score the first touchdown of the game.
And that is an excellent call by Sherm Lewis. That was, screens are all about timing. Not only timing from the quarterback position to draw him in, but timing from the sideline to know when to call it. Well done. Dorsey Levens does a nice job of having patience right there. Allows that block to happen, and then cuts underneath and makes the play.
So Levens with his first touchdown catch in a while, and the extra point is good. And for Brett Favre, that was his 20th touchdown pass of the season. And it now makes it 6 consecutive years that Brett Favre has thrown at least 20 touchdown passes, and it gives the Packers a 10-9 lead. And so it was set up by the interception by Tyrone Williams, and they burned the Bucs after the turnover.
Watch Raleigh McKenzie. He's the guy who does a nice job of getting the block on the outside right there. But it's set up by Dorsey Levens' patience. And here's Ray Rhodes in the sideline, and he watches the 9th point go on the board, and he realizes that his team has been outplayed, as does Warren Sapp realizes. They've been outplayed the whole first half, and they have a 1-point lead with 21 seconds to go.
So Longwell's extra point giving the Packers the lead, and I'm sure Tony Dungy is saying the same thing, that what do we have to do? We have dominated the ball control. We have 2 turnovers and yet trailed by a point. So Brett Favre now with his 6th straight season of 20 or more touchdown passes, tied with Len Dawson, trailing Dan Marino. Packers going 8 plays and 55 yards after the interception by Tyrone Williams. Remember, the Packers control their own destiny. They finish next week at Lambeau Field against the Arizona Cardinals, and the kickoff by Longwell, fielded by Warwick Dunn. And Dunn, who returned the last kick 33 yards, gets to the 30-yard line. Well, tonight, take up several beautiful years, so to speak, in leading the Packers. They've been to the Super Bowl 2 of the last 3 years, winning 1 time, but they've dropped 5 of their last 8, including their last 2. And Sean King will take a knee and run out the first half. A tight game. No surprise the way this one has gone. That is the end of the first half with the score, the Packers 10 and the Bucks 9. Stay tuned for the Visa halftime report with JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris after these messages and a word from your local. He threw the touchdown pass to Dorsey Levens, the only touchdown of the game, and the Packers leading 10-9. And you know, it's like the air coming out of the balloon for Tampa Bay because missed opportunities coming back to haunt the Bucks.
Well, I think the biggest one is that one Riddell Anthony had down there. Yeah, he got whacked and it was down on a goal, but he got to make that catch. I mean, it's the National Football League. You're a professional receiver, you make that catch. That's one missed opportunity. I think the second thing is when you look at this whole game right now, and we talked about it in the first half with Brett Favre, I think what he's doing is he's rushing himself a little bit. And he doesn't really have to because they've been protecting him pretty well. I think he's got to calm down a little bit here in a second.
All right, 10-9 the score, and just a few minutes ago, Pam Oliver caught up with the Bucks head coach, Tony Dungy.
Okay, thanks a lot. Tony, disappointing way to end the half. Tell me what you want to do in the second half.
Well, we've got to just see if we can convert when we get down in the red zone. We got 2 turnovers, and we got 6. They got 1 and got 7. That's the difference in the game right now.
What do you think about the way you're running the ball? Obviously, that's critical for this team.
Yeah, we need to run it in the second half. First half was okay. We got to pick the tempo up a little bit.
More pressure on Favre. Would you like to see that?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to him yet. We've been close, but we need to see if we can put him on the ground a couple times.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Let's go back upstairs to Dick.
All right, Pam, thank you very much. As the Buccaneers rushed 21 yards in 9 carries. That's certainly not what they wanted to do, but they have had trouble running the ball lately, and the Packers have been pretty tough in stopping the run.
I think the biggest thing is with the Tampa Bay Bucks is they have to continue to establish, not so much establish them, but establish the fact that they will run, because so much of their passing game is play action.
Martin Gramatica again with another short kickoff, and Damon Parker returns, and then good coverage that time by Rabi Abdullah, and a return of 16 yards. The halftime numbers, and Green Bay had the edge there, but not in the ball control department.
Yeah, and then I think this just echoes right here exactly what Tony Dungy said at halftime. They have 2 turnovers, and they got the 6 points because they weren't able to convert down inside the red zone. And then the Packers got 1 turnover and got their 7.
Damon Parker shaken up on the return, still down.
Well, it's just on a simple return, but in this league, nothing's simple. Rabi Abdullah hit him right square on the top of the thigh, maybe a little higher. You get a little higher than the top of the thigh, it tends to hurt a little bit.
And now he is up. Damon Parker, who is a rookie from Oklahoma and starred in the game against the Bears when Dorsey Levens could not play, and gained 113 yards and scored a touchdown, and showed some good speed that the Packers haven't shown out of the backfield in a while.
Well, and he has a little bit of wiggle. You know, he can make you miss, and that's something Dorsey doesn't have.
Brett Favre, who has completed 11 of 22 for 120 yards. The touchdown pass, and earlier the interception, but as Tony Dungy said, Tampa Bay's turnover came back to haunt them to the tune of a 7-point score. First down at the 25, and the pass out in the flat to Corey Bradford, And he is tackled after a minimal gain by Abraham.
I talked about Brett Favre having to settle down. They've been blocking Warren Sapp all day, which should allow him to settle down. When Warren Sapp is being blocked, you're going to have time to throw. The thing about Sapp is he's lined up, as you're noticing, all over the offensive line. But this Packer offensive line has responded. They've blocked him consistently all first half.
Second down and 9 at the 26-yard line, and Dorsey Levens. And Levens has not been able to do much on the ground. As a receiver, he scored a touchdown, and that'll bring up 3rd and long.
You know, the other side to that Warren Sapp package that we just showed you is, yes, they've been blocking him in the pass game, and he hasn't been really getting any pressure on Favre. But in the run game, this defense has been very, very stout. And they've been stuffing guys at the line of scrimmage. There's no place to run. Well done by Sapp, and then finished off by Lynch.
3rd down and 7 at the 28. Stepping up is Favre, and the pass incomplete, intended for Schrader, and it was broken up that time by Brian Kelly, and that'll bring up 4th down. And Tampa Bay's defense clamping down again, one of the best in the NFL and #1 in the conference against the pass.
You know, there's a lot of guys you see slipping and sliding here on this turf. There was another instance right there. The turf is actually, when I was down on the field earlier, it looked like it was in really good shape, but it looks like guys are wearing the heavier cleats and the field is getting torn up a little bit.
Louis Aguiar will kick, and Carl Williams returning for only the 2nd time today. An Aguiar punt on the 39-yard line. Nowhere to go, and he is down at the 37-yard line. But Brett Favre a bit disgusted with that series and that last pass as the Bucs take over, trailing the Packers by 1. And Brad Culpepper walking off the field moments ago, injured several weeks ago when we were in Seattle.
He hurt his heel. It's one of those things that keeps on coming back. It's not going to let you go.
First down at the 38, and the pass intended for Emmanuel, and claiming he was held up. In the NFC Central Division, including division records, the Buccaneers looking to hold on to their 1-game lead, and they would need a victory to do that against the Minnesota Vikings. Detroit falling quickly, and the Packers at 7-7, but the division records will decide the winner if there are a tie for the division. They will not mean anything as far as wild card playoffs, where conference record come into play. 2nd down and 10. Here's Dunn. Nothing doing, and he'll lose a yard.
We talked about the Tampa Bay defense, their defensive line controlling line of scrimmage. Well, there's a perfect example of the Green Bay defensive front controlling the line of scrimmage. Same exact thing. It's about getting into your block and then getting off the block. Jude Waddy, Santana Dotson, Cletus Hunt, all of them got in, stay on the blocker, get rid of the block, and make the tackle. Well done.
3rd down and 11 on the 37-yard line. There is Darren Sharper getting in position, and Dave Moore, the tight end, moving. Designed sprint to the left, and the pass caught by Emmanuel, but he didn't get to the sticks in time.
That's a mistake, Dick. See, he thought he was past that yard marker. He thought he was already beyond. And that's just poor awareness, poor field awareness by a veteran receiver. It shouldn't happen. He's driving the sticks. He has them off. Now you have to know where this is. Know where the marker is. He has time to go out of bounds. He also had time to be able to find the stick, and he did.
Mark Royals kicking on 4th down. And Charles Jordan will let it bounce, and it will at the 15-yard line. And we'll give you an update on Brad Culpepper. He went into the locker room to change cleats, so he has no injury, and that's good news for the Buccaneers. Warren Sapp, who's been sackless and tackleless so far today, and yet the Buccaneers playing a good defensive contest, trailing 10-9. The Packers have the ball on the 15-yard line. Anthony McFarland is in for Culpepper. At tackle, Dorsey Levens going in motion. Favre looking one way, and then the pass bobbled and caught by Schrader for about 7.5 yards and fumbles. You're right. And it get the official ruling from the referee and not from the Bucks in red shirts. Or Ray Rhodes.
Artie Nickerson's giving you what he thinks.
Only the official in the white hat.
Only the official knows for sure. Well, Thomason came up with it at the end. The officials are still looking down here. And Thomason has the ball over there.
Damian Robinson on the bottom of all that. And this is Tampa Bay has recovered.
Nickerson knocked the ball out.
Their offensive team coming back on the field, the Buccaneers, and there is the ball still loose.
By the receiver, recovered by Tampa Bay. First down.
And the Bucks do recover it for the third turnover by the Packers.
John Lynch looked like he would have been the one. Thomason came up and had the ball in his hand. So the officials would have had to have made the determination while they were still wrestling for the ball underneath. Clearly, Thomason came out of the pile because he raised it. And looked, as we were going at the end, they jumped on it and looked like Lynch was the guy who was on top of it.
Look how the Buccaneers have upgraded their takeaway game in the last 8 compared to the beginning of the season. First down on the 23 of the Packers. And the pitch goes to Warren Dunn looking for running room. And Dunn gets to about the 20-yard line. A pickup of 4. Jude Waddy in on the play. Well, you talk about missed opportunities. This is a golden one for the Buccaneers right here.
Well, you watch Ray Rhodes. He's trying to say he was down, and that would be an invalid one. John Lynch, he was on the bottom of the pile.
He got the word.
He is feeling pretty good about himself. This is the second time that they've started off with a turnover to give their offense this kind of field position.
First 2 times the Pack turned it over. All the Bucks could manage were field goals. Second down and 6. Sean King, the rookie from Tulane, out to Patrick Hape, and the tight end is wrestled down by George Kuntz for no gain at the 20-yard line. Let's bring you up to date on next week, week 17, the Lions and the Vikings in a big one at the Metrodome in Minnesota. Buccaneers and Bears critical as well. And a lot of teams scrambling for the final playoff berth, the Giants and the Cowboys. And if you have 8 losses, you're still alive. Well, the early game headlines, the Vikings and the Bucks clinched playoff berths today. The Cardinals, Ravens, Bears, and Raiders all eliminated, and Kurt Warner continues to have that brilliant year. Third down and 6. Plenty of time for King, and Warren Dunn with the reception and a first down at about the 10-yard line. And it was Jim Nelson on the cover.
And that's going to be tough for Jim Nelson. That's what I was talking about earlier, Dick, when in the first half. They're going to run everybody out, and then you're going to take Warwick Dunn, and you're going to let him go man-to-man underneath. And I don't care who you are. You're not going to win that battle. Nelson did everything right there. He took away one way. See how he set to the inside? He took that away, and he allowed Dunn to go one way. The problem is, if you give him that one way, they'll beat you with it.
Only the second catch today by Warwick Dunn, who leads the Bucks in that department. First and goal at the 9. Dunn on the ground, trying to fight his way, and he does for about 2. Ledius Hunt, rookie from Kentucky State, in on the play. That will bring up second down.
You know, Dick, it's funny, the evolution in the National Football League. When I came into the game, I used to stay in for nickel. And what teams used to do is they'd keep one back in, generally a fullback type to block, and then the middle linebacker would stay on him, and then, you know, you didn't really have to worry about him. And then Joe Washington came in with Joe Gibbs in that offense and really changed all that stuff.
You stopped him on first down, Matt. You came out of the game.
I hated that kind of football.
Second and goal at the 8-yard line, and here is Warwick Dunn, and he's going to get in for the touchdown.
Dick, I'll just go back to what Chris Collinsworth said in our pregame show, the Packers could not allow the Tampa Bay Bucs defense to put their offense in a position to score points. They have scored now 15 points. All of them are the result of turnovers. I should say all but 3 are the result of turnovers.
And Warwick Dunn, believe it or not, only his second touchdown this year, both as a receiver, and the kick is good by Gramatica, and here is Dunn. Sean King, the rookie from Tulane, yep, looking up there, and a 16-10 lead for the Bucs. The Buccaneers finally taking advantage of a turnover to get a touchdown to take a 16-10 lead. Only the second touchdown of the year by Dunn, both as a receiver, and this is after the fumble by Schrader. 5 plays, 21 yards. Martin Gramatica will kick off, and with Damon Parker out the rest of the game with a sprained knee, Basil Mitchell is back to return. And the kick returned by Charles Jordan. Jordan to the 25, slips up, and then is decked at the 27 or 8 yard line by Rondy Barber.
Watch what Mike Shula does in this touchdown. See, they're going to go down here. They call what's called a banjo, and they're going to run everybody off. They're going to run everybody off down here, and they're going to loosen this up and give you the underneath voided area in coverage. That's Jude Waddy on Warwick Dunn. So they run everybody off, and they use your coverage against you. That's a good call by Mike Shula.
There's Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator, and there is Brett Favre making adjustments. First down on the 28-yard line, and play action on first down. Favre drills it, and the pass is caught. Big catch by Antonio Freeman, and that was the best pass that Favre has thrown today, and picks up 16 yards.
Play action. Nice job of protecting Brett Favre, and it's only a 2-man route. Both guys, both wide guys, are going out for a pass. And because of the play action, you make the linebackers jump up, and your receivers downfield have a little bit more room to work with.
Second catch of the game by Freeman. From the 44, pressure on, and the pass to Freeman this time on a quick to the wide receiver, and a gain of about 3.5 yards on the play. Mistakes by the Packers. The fumble by Dorsey Levens, and a field goal resulting. And then a tip ball and intercepted by Damian Robinson, and the Buccaneers got 3. But on this turnover, the fumble by Schrader, the Buccaneers got the touchdown. King to Dunn, and thus lead it by 6. Second down and 6 on the 48 of Green Bay. And the inside handoff to Dorsey Levens. And the Tampa Bay Bucs have not let Levens get away today. That was Anthony McFarland.
And what that was a nice run blitz, where everybody's filling all the gaps and there's nowhere to run. Now, if you can crease that thing, if you can just get past the first, you're going to watch everybody inside. Here they come. See, now everybody's stuffing all the gaps. There's no place to run the football. If you can get past that first line, you're in good shape because there's nobody behind you. But now when you're playing defense like that,
only 12 yards on the ground. That was a loss of 3, bringing up third down and 9. And Favre's pass incomplete. He was going to his tight end, Jeff Thomason, and the Pack have to kick it away.
good defense by Tampa Bay. You know, rule number 1 in the National Football League, don't beat yourself. Green Bay Packers are, and the Tampa Bay Bucs aren't.
And the Bucs are hungry. They clinched a playoff berth, but they're looking to win the NFC Central for the first time since 1981. They won't get that done tonight, but they could take a big step. Here's Aguilar with the kick. Carl Williams, fair catch. With 6:14 and now make it 6:13 remaining in the third. Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost their opening game of the year to the New York Giants. here at home and have run 6 in a row for a 6-1 home mark. They beat the Packers here last year 24-22 and lead here 16-10. They have a first down on the 18-yard line. Play action on first down, Sean King, and he was trying to go to Jacquez Green. And right now let's go down to Pam Oliver, who's with Trent Dilfer.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dick. Trent, play offensive coordinator for me. What would you do against their defense to put some distance between you?
Well, they're bringing a lot of people up around the box on first down. I think we need to get our backs isolated on their linebackers on first down and get some easy completions for Sean. Our defense has done a great job getting us field position. We've capitalized on it, but I think we're going to have to score at least one more time to win this football game.
What's the collarbone situation with you? I know you'll begin throwing in a little while.
Day by day. I'm trying not to look too far ahead. It's getting better. I'm starting to do some weightlifting, get some strength back in the pec and in the arm. It's a day-by-day thing. We'll see.
You expect to be a Tampa Bay Buck in the future? I know it's got to be hard to consider anything else.
Well, I said when I got here, I wanted to finish my career here, and I really hope that's the way it turns out. I love this community. I love this coaching staff and the players in this team, and I want to play here for another 10 years.
Thanks for the spitting lessons. I appreciate it. Let's go back up to Dick.
All right, Pam, and of course Trent Dilfer has been one of the great supporters for rookie Sean King. He suffered that fractured clavicle against Seattle on November 28th. King came in, finished off the victory, and then led the Bucs to 2 wins in a row before last week's. I guess you'd have to say it's an aberration the way the Bucs are playing today, losing 45-0 to the Raiders.
Well, the Raiders were able to jump up on them and just, you know, it was one of those Morton Salt games when it rains, it pours. Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
3rd down and 7 for the Bucs. King out of the shotgun from the 21-yard line, and the pass underneath to Carl Williams, and he won't get the necessary yardage, bringing up 4th down, and that was Antoine Edwards on the stop.
You can see our line right there. He can't, but we can. Again, that's just a matter of awareness. That's usually a young receiver's rookie, you know, that's a young receiver mistake. Williams isn't he's not a young receiver. He gotta have better awareness on the field.
Charles Jordan goes back, and Mark Royals, one of the big surprise plays today, was his 4th down pass out of punt formation to keep a drive going for the Buccaneers. Here is Jordan backpedaling and finally down by Rondy Barber. 4:37 remaining in the 3rd quarter. We'll be right back. Tampa and our overhead shots courtesy of the Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes. One of 6 Goodyear blimps providing pictures on the arrival of the new millennium. You've heard that phrase used before, the new millennium?
What the heck, it's got my name in it. It should. Very familiar with. Thank you. You think that's just a coincidence, don't you?
That one. First down on the 33-yard line for the Packers. Brett Favre being chased by Warren Sapp, and he's going to step gingerly out of bounds.
Dick, part of the thing with Brett Favre not being is throwing into coverage and is the receivers aren't getting open. And when you look at that, I think you have to look at the secondary of the Tampa Bay Bucs. And then I think you have to look a step further, and you have to look at Herman Edwards, the secondary coach, because I think he's an excellent young coach. I think he's one of the best out there. What I love about him as a former player, he teaches and preaches technique, but he's also a great teacher, period. And there's Herm right there. And I think Herman Edwards is going to have a head coaching future in this league. I think he's really good.
2nd down and 13. Play fake and a pass. Schrader downfield, and it's overthrown and well covered, I should say, as well by Lynch. And that will bring up 3rd down. Warren Sapp hasn't done much today.
But he got a power move right here on Raleigh McKenzie, and they missed with a double. And because you saw Rivera coming over to help, that meant that Culpepper now is able to slip back inside. So even sometimes when you get blocked and you're Warren Sapp and you're drawing 2 guys, somebody else has to step up.
Second half has not been fruitful for the Packers. Offensively, 3rd down and 13. Favre with time, and the pass not even near Charles Jordan. And that brings up 4th down. I'll tell you, this is one of the finer defensive efforts that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have spun this year, in a big year for their defense. They have 4 men on their defensive unit heading to the Pro Bowl, including Warren Sapp.
Excellent job by the secondary there, just playing a simple coverage. I mean, basic cover 2. But because the Packer receivers aren't running anywhere fast, they're able to cover them pretty easily.
Aguilar with an end-over-end returnable kick by Carl Williams.
There's a block in the back.
And a good coverage that
They're
time.
not going to call it, but Shelton Quarles just hit Davis right square in the back.
3:35 remaining, third quarter. The Bucs leading the Packers 16-10. And Friday, you're invited to
In the end of January, he'll find him sleeping.
first down at the 37 or the end of December for that matter.
A good point by you.
Hand off to Mike Allstott. Allstott, who gained 16 yards on 5 carries in the first half, comes up with a yard here.
December, January, what's the difference? One starts, one begins. Or ends rather.
Can you believe that, too? Here's Brett Favre, who is not having the day he envisioned, came in with a 13-2 record as a starting quarterback against Tampa Bay. In fact, his first game as a player in a Packer uniform was against the Buccaneers down here in Florida. Second down and 10. King. Pass to Dunn. And good play by Jude Waddy. He's had a fine game, holding Dunn to a gain of 4.
That's what you call closing on a receiver. And in order to do that, you have to be able to run. And that's one thing that Waddy does exceptionally well. You just sit back in your zone. The key to zone defense is patience. Get the nice drop. Now once you see it, explode in the ball. Watch him finish through. Well done by Jude Waddy.
The Green Bay defense has played well. The Buccaneers defense has played better. And the turnovers by the Packers are the reason why they're down by 6. Third down and 6 coming up. Total yards dead even. The slam. Caught. Jaquez Green, first down into Green Bay territory. And for Green, that is his first catch of the game. Tyrone Williams on the coverage.
Tyrone Williams is holding outside position, and you're giving up the inside. And when you're going to give it up that much, you have time to throw. That's really pitch and catch. You're going to go back in motion. They're going to bring him back, and they're going to isolate this area right here. And Tyrone Williams, you notice he's going to hold the outside. See, when he holds that outside, you give up the inside. And as long as that area is vacated, it's just simple pitch and catch.
First down and a play action for King. He's got Green open, but the pass is thrown out of bounds. Green got into the seam, and George Kuntz managed to tip the ball on that play, bringing up 2nd and 10.
He's in that position, which is called the nasty position, for a reason. When he's in there, one of the things that they'll run that crossing receiver, and they'll run him all the way to the other sideline. And King is just waiting for him to get open. George Kuntz got his hand and tipped that ball away, or that could have been a reception.
2nd and 10 at the 47. And King trying to get it to Warwick Dunn, who went high and couldn't hold on to it.
There's stuff flying out all over the place. There's a part of his shoulder pad that came out. So Warwick Dunn not only faked out the backer, he faked out himself. That attaches to the bottom. The bottom in the back, right down in here. That attaches to the bottom of his shoulder pads, and it protects his kidneys.
Threw it away like a frisbee.
It came flying out of him like a frisbee.
The third down and 10 with 1:13 remaining in the third. King on the screen pass, and after the bobble, Warwick Dunn gets some running room and gets the first down. And you wonder whether the bobble might have helped the timing on that play. It was good for 12 yards.
It's also good timing from the sideline as well, Dick. That's a good time to call that play. Much like the screen to Dorsey Levens earlier, Mike Schuler, the offensive coordinator, looks down. Like I said earlier, you have to have timing as the quarterback is you have to draw them in. You have to have timing from the linemen because it's just enough to sell that it's going to be a pass where you're protecting, and then you have to have timing from the sideline to know when to call.
Under a half a minute remaining in the third quarter, and the inside handoff, the up man Mike Allstott for a couple of yards, and that should be the last play of the third quarter as the Buccaneers, Tony Dungy against Ray Rhodes in their particular battle, and plenty at stake in this game. Packers control their own destiny right now, but trail. And that is the end of the third quarter with the score, the Buccaneers 16 and the Packers 10. Fox NFL Sunday will continue right after these messages. And we start the fourth quarter. Dick Stockton, Matt Millen, and Pam Oliver with the Buccaneers leading by 6. Tampa Bay with a 2nd down and 8 on the 33 of the Packers.
Walked up to the 8-man front just like Trent Dilfer was talking about.
And the pitch to Warwick Dunn. And Dunn maybe a yard on the play. Interesting with so many teams with a chance to help themselves have not done it. Dallas loses Friday, and Detroit yesterday, and several teams like Carolina and Arizona losing today.
You know, it's funny, you listen to the game on Friday when John Madden was talking about the Dallas Cowboys, saying that maybe they're not good enough to get into the playoffs, and watching this Green Bay Packer team right now, and my sentiments are the same. And you watch them, and they have players that are just not making plays, and you have to go back and think, is it a case of good, solid defense, or is it a case of just not making plays offensively? I happen to think it's the latter.
3rd down and 8 at the 33, and there's the shuffle pass to Warwick Dunn, and Dunn will get the first down and a big one to the 23-yard line.
That was an excellent play by Warwick Dunn because Keith McKenzie read it perfectly. He came up the field and saw it right there. Watch McKenzie, right here. He's going to close on this and just can't quite get the elusive Warwick Dunn. And then the thing people forget about Warwick Dunn is he's a pretty tough runner. I mean, you can tackle him to get your hands on him, but you got to get your hands on him.
The 11-yard pickup, 73 total yards, and a touchdown for Dunn. First down on the 22-yard line of the Packers. King with a short drop. Now taking off. And he goes out of bounds. Short of the first down by about 3 yards on the play. You know, going back to what you talked about moments ago, remember not that long ago when you could pencil in Dallas, Green Bay, and San Francisco as automatics, and now it looks like those 3 teams are headed south. Green Bay maybe not as much as the others, but Dallas struggling too with 8 losses.
I think with the first 2, San Francisco and Dallas, I think age is a factor. I think the salary cap is another factor. I should say free agency, losing people. San Francisco has a chance tomorrow, or tonight rather, against the Washington Redskins and the Skins, and they may have a chance to win the title.
Yes, they do. And there is Mike Allstott getting a first down early here in the fourth quarter.
You know, this Green Bay defense has not played poorly, but they have not been helped by the Green Bay offense. They've been on the field a long time today, and you can see right there, 28 minutes to 19 minutes.
First and 10 at the 11-yard line. The Bucs can get a first down without getting a touchdown. Here's Allstott, and that's what they do, the power run when they get close and they sense they're wearing down the defense. George Kuntz making the tackle. It'll be 2nd down on the 6.
Just let that offensive line just get into people. Nothing an offensive lineman loves better than to just play power football. Have a guy line up right over the top of you and just come off the ball and pound. When you have a pounder behind you, like Allstott.
13th play of the series. It's gone over 7 minutes, giving the Bucs defense a long time to rest up. 2nd down and 4. And again they go to Allstott. Allstott going in. Touchdown Buccaneers. A 5-yard touchdown run by Mike Allstott.
And that's the little bit of make you miss and movement
And they're going for 2.
That a fullback doesn't give you, that a running back does give you. And that's what all stock gives you right here. See, a normal, that's a nice job by McLeod. Nice job by Doggins. A normal fullback doesn't bounce that thing outside. His feet doesn't take him there. His eyes may, but his feet don't rather. And Allstott, because he's a featured running back, he's able to make that little bit of wiggle and get outside.
Allstott has scored all 5 Tampa Bay rushing touchdowns this year. And what an impressive 22-4 record when he does get into pay dirt. And the Bucs going for the 2-point conversion, leading 22-10. King, and it's batted in the air, and it's caught by King, but the 2-point conversion will fail, and with 11:30 to go in the 4th, the lead is 12. Mike Allstott powers his way in, and Trent Dilfer, the injured quarterback, leading the cheers on the sideline. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are looking to remain a game ahead of the victorious Minnesota Vikings, who won earlier today, and looking for their first division title since 1981. It won't come today, but it could come next week in Chicago. Lead at 22-10 as Martin Gramatica kicks off. Charles Jordan bobbles it again, another month, and Jordan giving ground and going nowhere. And this crowd at a fevered pitch. Great hustle by the red-shirted Buccaneers. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Watch the eyes of Charles Jordan. You can see how he takes his eyes off the ball and looks up the field right there. See, the eyes are looking up the field. The ball is going the other way. You have to concentrate. You have to watch it all the way in.
First down on the 11-yard line. Packers need some offense in a hurry. And this pass thrown out of bounds. Schrader was the intended receiver.
Well, this is Ray Rhodes on the sideline just a few minutes ago trying to get the troops rallied. You're down by 12 points, which is 2 scores. And you know the balance of your season is hanging right there. And there's one thing when a coach talks to you. There's another when you're Warren Sapp and you talk to yourself.
Is anybody listening? What a difference a week makes for the Buccaneers defense as Favre's pass in and out of the hands of Bill Schrader. Well, there was an incident this week involving Antonio Freeman and Charles Jordan, an accident occurring on Wednesday night in a parking lot of a Green Bay restaurant. Freeman's car hit a pole, and Freeman's friend, a woman, was injured, currently listed in fair condition. Now, Charles Jordan originally admitted to driving Freeman's car, but Freeman admitted Thursday to driving after a witness contradicted their account. Charges of obstructing justice are being considered, so things are not that smooth in Packerland off the field. Third down and 10. And on the field, they're not that smooth either as Favre's pass. That one is caught by Freeman, and a first down short of the 30-yard line. And that quiets the crowd somewhat. That was a gain of 22.
Nicely done by Favre. Again, he knows he's got to make the play. But he also knows he's not getting much help out of his receivers in terms of getting open down the field. That time, he was able to buy some time by stepping up in the pocket and a well-thrown ball.
And with that catch, Antonio Freeman has gone over 1,000 yards receiving for the 3rd year in a row. Corey Bradford went in motion to the left. There's a flag down, and the pass intended for Levens incomplete. Not many penalties today. And as a matter of fact, we haven't had any quarterback sacks. It's been that kind of a game. This is only the 2nd flag. Dick Hantak, the referee.
Illegal shift. Offense. 2 men moving in time prior to is declined. 2nd down.
Microphone breaking up, but you know that it was an illegal shift. And the penalty was declined, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. Second down and 10 on the 33. Barb, and the pass thrown behind Freeman, incomplete, and covered well. I'll tell you, the coverage has been really remarkable for the Buccaneers today.
Coverage has been right there. I think one of the reasons is that the receivers aren't really running away from anybody. And this, you know, the defense doesn't allow for that. They're playing in a zone. You're not going to run away from anybody. But I think the more telling thing in this game, that ball should have been caught, even though it's behind. The more telling thing, and I said it right at the start of the game, you have a great quarterback. You're going to put the game on his shoulders. And to this point, with 10 minutes left, he's not responding.
And maybe that the right arm isn't responding for Warren Sapp, and this pass is intercepted, and now they say incomplete. Damian Robinson trying to pick it off in the air, but it goes as an incomplete pass. It was intended for Bill Schrader, but looks like Warren Sapp has an injured right arm.
That's another ball that should have been completed. It wasn't, because Donnie Abraham came in the backside and smacked his arms, but the ball was right in his hands.
4th down, and there goes Carl Williams back to return the kick by Louis Aguiar. Hang time has not been impressive today. 3.4 isn't that good. Nor have the Packers, period. And the fair catch called for. He improved it somewhat by Carl Williams after the 34-yard kick. Well, Sapp being 10-2, but the Buccaneers looking for ball control coming right up. Back here in Tampa, where the Buccaneers led 9-0 at one point, but trailed at the half 10-9. 2 touchdowns in the second half, giving them a 22-10 lead. First down for Tampa Bay on their 33. Mike Allstott going outside, and he is dragged down by Bernardo Harris for a loss.
You saw Sapp being tended to in the sideline with his hand. This is the play right prior to him being attended to. His right hand or wrist or something got smacked in that little flurry in there, and he came off the sideline holding it. Just watching him down there on the sideline now. He's got his cape on, and he's pass rushing to the coach. So he's, you know, his wrist may be hurting, but that mouth, that's in great shape.
Non-stop, even when he's talking to himself.
That, incidentally, is a funny man. He's a fun guy to be around.
Tremendous personality. Having a great comeback year. 2nd and 9. Here's Allstott. And Allstott gets a couple, bringing up 3rd down and long for the Buccaneers, who are not trying anything fancy here. That's not the style of Tony Dungy, whose game plan, no matter what you may say, is to play good defense, protect the ball, get in position, kick a lot of field goals, and win close games.
They're happy with that, and they're comfortable with that. That's the one thing about this Tampa Bay team. They're comfortable with a close game. And that's the way they win games, and that's what Tony Dungy has preached. Doesn't matter the start, it matters how you finished, and right now they're finishing up pretty well.
3rd down and 7, and here comes the pressure on King, and the ball is tipped, and it is caught by Bert Emanuel. So everything going the Buccaneers' way, and short of the first down by a yard, and it'll be time for Mark Royals to come in and punt.
Mike McKenzie decided to hold the outside again. They gave a little bit of a cushion, so when you're going to bring a blitz, if you give a cushion, they're going to throw the slant, so you have to drive it. If you stay up tight, the chances are they're going to take the fade on you.
Mark Royals punting it away, and a beauty. Charles Jordan at the 10. He struggled as a punt returner today, and this time Bobby Abdullah is there to make the play. Flag is down.
Abdullah's had some nice plays on the special teams.
It'll be a face mask against the Bucs. Still yapping is Sapp.
Dick, at the 8-minute mark now, you're at 7:53 like you're talking about. And they'll make them re-kick this one.
Personal foul, face mask, kicking team number 53. During the kick,
Shelton
we were
Quarles.
penalized 15 yards. Retry, 4 down.
Yeah, at the 7:53 mark, the 8-minute mark, basically, and you're Ray Rhodes, and you better start. You got to start thinking. You got to get 2 scores here. You better start quickening the pace of your offense, because they've not really done much at all. When they have, they've taken their time. You watch Shelton Quarles, number 53. You can see it right there. There's a hand in the face, and he holds on to it, and then he twists the thing down, and they're going to call that.
And that could be significant because Royals will now kick from about the 15, and Jordan moves up to the 35. So good field position on a return. And the Packers, as you mentioned, needing 2 scores, could get some boost by that. Here is Jordan on the return, trying to turn the corner. And he does, and a flag is down, and Charles Jordan is stopped at the 37 by Morris Unatoa, who is the long snapper, but see if that penalty goes against the Packers. And that's what it'll be. 51-yard kick. And the return was 15 yards by Jordan, but that will be set back.
Illegal block during the return, number 31, 10-yard penalty.
Fred Vinson.
First down.
So a decent return, which could have given the Packers at least some room to get going with 2 scores needed. Frank Middleton is steaming. Well, figuratively on the bench right now as the Packers begin from the 25, needing 2 scores with 7:40 remaining in the 4th. Favre on first down, and Schrader holds on to it, takes the hit, and a first down to the 41 and a gain of 17 yards. Abraham defending. Next week, the final weekend of the NFL regular season. Detroit, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Chicago. The Giants and the Dallas Cowboys meet at 4 o'clock, and it's possible that 4, 7, and 8 teams still in playoff contention.
Think this is the right thing by the Packers. They're going with the hurry up.
And not now.
That's not the right thing.
Robinson on the return down the sideline. The second interception of the game for Robinson, and Favre threw it right in his hands. "35-yard return, and that is the 4th turnover committed by the Packers.
They went with the hurry up. I guess he's trying to throw it either to Bradford behind, but it looked like he was trying to throw it to Antonio Freeman. In either case, the ball just came off his hand too high, and Brett Favre was disgusted with himself. He was so disgusted, he just stood there and watched it. And justifiably so.
2 interceptions thrown by Brett Favre today, and the Bucs have reason to celebrate. And all Favre can do is shake his head. 4th turnover, and the Bucs with a first down on the Packer 28 with 7:02 remaining. And here is Mike Allstott using some time. Again, Ray Rhodes at wit's end, I would think, on the sideline.
He's talking to Corey Bradford and Antonio Freeman, but you know that's after the fact. You have to, you know, they knew the game was into balance right there. They went to the hurry up, which is the right thing to do. They had to make some plays. They knew that. The ball just took off on Brett Favre.
How many times have we said that teams control their own destiny and go out and stumble? It's happened this weekend to so many clubs, starting with Dallas.
How about Detroit?
Detroit, yes.
Detroit was up. I mean, somebody put the grease on their feet. They're sliding all over the place.
2nd down and 8, and here's Allstott again. Carolina and Arizona, who are Arizona eliminated today with their loss.
Let's watch the 2 receiver side on that interception. 2 guys in the same route. Looked like they were supposed to run a crossing route or something. In either case, the ball took off on Favre, and there's the interception. Brett's disgusted with himself and the route and the game.
3rd down and 5 at the 23. Warwick Dunn now moving out into the slot, and a quarterback draw by Sean King. First down to the 16-yard line, and the Buccaneers pulling everything out of the bag today, including a fake punt, a pass for a first down earlier.
Well, offensive coordinator Mike Shula says, you know, if Steve Berline can win a game like this,
Right.
and I certainly can get a first down like this.
Good point by him.
It is a good point by him. You know, Mike Shula takes a lot of heat down here.
Yes.
And every time that you and I have watched the games of the Bucs, he's called very good games. Every time I come down here, I say, okay, let's see this guy, Mike Shula. He's supposed to be a stiff. And he calls excellent games. I don't see what the big deal is with him.
First down on the 17, and here's Allstott to the 10, to the 5.
Look at that.
Touchdown runner.
Mike McKenzie got his jock strap laying on the 5-yard line. Boy, did he fake him out.
17-yard run, and Allstott's 2nd touchdown of the game.
That is no fullback. He's going to the Pro Bowl.
Pretty good running back.
As a fullback, but that guy's a runner.
6 touchdowns on the year, the only 6 rushing scores by the Buccaneers. And winning going away now at a 28-10 score with 4:41 to go.
Dick, Andy Don Meredith would be singing right about now.
Yes. And there is a party going on in Tampa.
And there's going to be a bigger one tonight.
Here is Gramatica with the extra point. And it's 29-10 in favor of Tampa Bay.
This is, just watch 40. This is that little bit of make you miss that separates Allstott. Right there. You see that? Fullbacks don't make that. Running backs make that move. And Allstott is just, he's pure running back. He's a powerful guy. He's a big guy. He's atypical, but he's good. Look at that move. That's a thing of beauty.
Remember at halftime, the Bucs were trailing the Packers 10-9, but they have scored 3 touchdowns since to take a 29-10 lead. And in case you're wondering, with Green Bay headed for their 8th loss, the Giants and Carolina having lost 8, and Dallas starting the weekend off by losing to New Orleans to go 7-8, the Dallas Cowboys control their destiny.
Unbelievable.
They do. And there is the NFC playoff picture with the Rams, the Bucs, and the Redskins leading their division. Minnesota got in the playoffs with a win today. Detroit slumping. Packers, you got to know that Green Bay soon will likely go to 7-8, and the Dallas Cowboys control their destiny for the final playoff berth.
It's hard to believe that Dallas, as poorly as they've played here in this little stretch, could get in the playoffs. And they'll have to beat a New York Giant team who struggled mightily today.
Basil Mitchell returning for the Packers to the 35, and a flag comes flying out.
Boy, the Buck offensive line in the second half, they just stayed with it, and they just kept on coming. Kevin McLeod had some nice blocks up front, and then Allstott kind of just took over the power run inside game. Nicely done by the offensive line of Tampa Bay, and they've been coming under a little bit of fire because they've not been running the ball well.
Here's Dick Hantak.
Holding. During the return, 56, 10-yard penalty. First down.
How about Usama Mays, the former Viking who was picked up by the Packers on the play. So the ball will be sent back to the 25-yard line. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and there had to be questions. You say burn the tape, but you got to wonder with a young team when you lose 45-0, worst franchise loss as they did to Oakland last week, how they'll respond this week. Well, they've answered the question. Levens out of the backfield, buried at the 30 in a gain of 5. That was Derek Brooks on the play.
Nicely done by the Tampa Bay offensive line. They've protected Sean King all day long. They've opened up some holes, not big ones, but enough for that big fullback or running back Allstott to get through and make some yards and 2 touchdowns.
Again to Levens underneath, and to back you up on the offensive line performance today, no sacks allowed, no penalties, and 104 rushing yards, but one of the keys to this offensive performance today.
And I think, absolutely, and maybe the biggest key.
First down. Here's Levens again for the third straight time. And he gets to the 40 as the clock continues to run. 3 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the fourth quarter.
You know, and Dick, I think the other part of the equation for today's win for Tampa has been their defense. And it hasn't been on the strength of pass rush. It's been on the strength of coverage and great discipline. And they're showing it again here.
Second down and 6, and that was trapped by Rondy Barber. No interception. It'll go as an incompleted pass.
They haven't gotten sacks, but they've gotten pressure. They've gotten pressure, and then the secondary has responded to that pressure. It hasn't been consistent. Warren Sapp this time, again, remember I said earlier, when he gets a one-on-one, that's when he has to make his presence felt. And this is the previous play. They didn't know what the heck was going on out there. They're waiting for Favre to get the play out there.
Third down and 6. Favre, he's got Schrader wide open, and Schrader will go out of bounds after getting into Buccaneer territory. 3:10 showing on the clock. There was an 11-yard pickup, and Ray Rhodes, when we talked to him last night, Matt said, I need 21 to 24 points, and I think that'll do it for this team. He's got 10 on the board right now, and the one touchdown came after the lone turnover by the Buccaneers, the interception thrown by King to Tyrone Williams.
One thing they haven't done all game long, and that's mostly because of the way the defense has played, is they've not pushed the ball down the field deep at all.
No, they haven't. There's a good catch on a high throw by Freeman, and the Pack get a first down after the pickup of 16. They're on the Tampa Bay 33.
They would have to score here, get an onside kick, score again, and get another onside kick.
First down, and Favre has to swing it out to Levens. And he is knocked out of bounds to stop the clock at 2:41. That was Derek Brooks. Remember before we showed you Warren Sapp grasping his hand, and the report from the field is that his thumb was wrapped too tight. He'd had no injury, and now I guess it's feeling a lot better.
That's the only thing wrapped too tight on him, let me tell you. He himself is not.
Second and 11. 4 wide receivers for Favre. And underneath to Schrader, hit immediately by Abraham at the 31-yard line. And the clock continues to run. 2.5 to play in the fourth.
Dick, this is a time when this Tampa defense, it just has to be patient. They know there's 3 scores. The clock is on their side. So you'll give up all that underneath stuff. Who cares? Just make them keep on working the field.
Here again underneath to Levens. And 3rd and 8, it'll be 4th down. And the Packers, of course, will go for it on 4th down, needing 3 scores. And we're going to wind down to the 2-minute warning. Right here. 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Warren Sapp and the Buccaneer defense. Mike Allstott with 2 scores, leading the Bucs 29-10. We'll be right back. 2 minutes remaining in this pivotal NFC Central Division battle. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who trailed the Green Bay Packers 10-9 at the half, scoring 3 touchdowns in the second half, and a brilliant defensive effort with a 4th down and 4 coming up for the Packers, and the pass broken up by Rondy Barber, and the Buccaneers will get the ball back. So Tampa Bay coming back from a 45-0 trouncing at Oakland last week, going on for their 7th straight home win of the season. Here's the way this game has gone. A fake punt and a pass from Mark Royals to Damian Robinson, setting up a field goal in the first quarter. And then Dorsey Levens gets the touchdown to give the Packers the lead 10-9 at the half. In the third quarter, there is the completed pass to Schrader, leading to a Dunn touchdown on the fumble, and then Mike Allstott scoring 2 touchdowns. The second one from 17 yards out to make it 29-10 in favor of the Buccaneers with 1:56 to go in the game. Sean King, the rookie from Tulane, making his 4th start and leading the Buccaneers to their biggest victory of the season and a big run of about 8 yards by Mike Allstott. Now the Packers, in case you're wondering, will still be alive despite their loss, but they're going to need help. They have to win next week in their Lambeau finale against Arizona. They need the Giants to beat the Dallas Cowboys, who right now control their own fate, and net conference points, and that gets complicated. Matt, tell me how that works.
I'll tell you how it works. You wait till the season's over, you look in the paper, and you say, oh, they made it, or they didn't. That's about it.
But look how the guard has changed. The 49ers, Packers, look at the list of those teams eliminated from the playoffs. 49ers, Broncos, Patriots, and Steelers, who were there a year ago. Won't be there this time, Matt.
No, not at all. And the Green Bay Packers had themselves a chance. We said at the start, I'll go back and repeat myself again. They needed, look, they're right now, they have Dorsey Levens, and they can run the football, but they're a passing team. And if they're a passing team, they have to ride the arm of Favre, and they have to be able to have the receivers get open. And today, Tampa Bay's defensive secondary just threw a blanket on them.
Here's Allstott with the carry, and of course their offensive line a bit banged up with Tony Mayberry, their Pro Bowl center, out with a neck sprain. And let's look at Favre on the sideline here. How's he looking?
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell if that's because of a pain he has in his shoulder or arm, which, you know, he's one of those guys who doesn't tell anything to anybody. And sometimes he can hurt himself and his team by not revealing any injury. That's the first thing. But I also think he's wincing at the fact that they're down here by 19 points, and don't look like they're going to do anything.
Packers calling their second timeout, and while we have a moment, we want to thank our crew, production and technical. And here they are. And tonight's game, they're on that pirate ship, ready to set sail. Anything for a free ride for our crew. Well, tonight's game produced by Richard Zients.
That's not a pirate. Holy smoke.
And directed by Artie Kempner, the associate director, Greg Scopertoni, and our broadcast associates, Jacob Ullman, Derek Manning, and Adrian Hassenmeyer. Special thanks to our technical crew, Jeff Cohen and Ben Altop in audio, David Geller, Andy Mitchell, Mike Tatamir on camera, Gene Michael and Fred Medeiros in video, Lars Pacheco, Jay Beckman, and Jerry Hausfeld in videotape, Victor Gonzalez, along with Mike Stevepak, Mark Fasori, and Mike Kirby in graphics. Thanks to you all for a terrific job, not only today, but all season long. And the Packers have used up their last timeout.
You know, and the guy who's down there in the truck, along with Artie Kempner and Richie Zients, the guy who sits right beside him is Richie Basili, the guy who switches all the pictures.
Not an easy job.
No, especially when you got fat fingers like Richie does. You never know what the heck is going to show up there.
That's a bittersweet compliment for Rich. Also want to thank our spotter Chris Visser and our statistician Dave Forrest up here in the booth, as the Packers are out of timeouts, and the Buccaneers will tie a club record with their 10th victory of the season. They've accomplished it twice, back in 1979 and 8 years later. And for Green Bay, they'll drop to 7-8, still alive, but they need a win at help.
Dick, I'll again congratulate the offensive line of this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, and also the secondary of this Tampa team. Both those units played extremely well.
Allstott tackled by Sharper from behind. The Buccaneers, who won 6 in a row before losing in Oakland last year, would get back on the winning track and go 10-5. The Packers dropping to 7-8, dropping their 3rd game in a row. And this team certainly not finishing in a blaze of glory. This will be their 6th loss in their last 9 games. Well, Tampa Bay knew they had to run the ball, and run it they did.
Yeah, that's, again, just pat the back of those offensive linemen up there. And they were patient with it, and they stayed with it. I think Mike Shula called himself a good game. Mike Allstott did an excellent job of powering through the cracks that he got.
3rd down and 1. And Sean King on the quarterback sneak. Very poised quarterback, and when we talked to him this week, he said, look, a football, still the same game no matter what level it is on. Key is not to be afraid to make mistakes. He only made one today, the interception, but a terrific job by a poised rookie. And that will do it. Sean King completes 17 of 30 for 133 yards, 1 touchdown pass and 1 interception. And for Brett Favre, who's been banged up this year, Packers going to need help when they go home. So the final score here in Tampa, the Buccaneers 29.